everybody, I'm Nicole.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Sarah, and together we're the co-founders of Whale Tales, a living library of cetacean stories.
And today, we're discussing the cutest dolphin in the whole wide ocean that's kind of more like a panda or a skunk, depending on how you look at it. Then it looks like a dolphin, and I love it so much.
Oh, yes, there will be lots of adoration, mostly from Nicole. Mm-hmm. But sit back and enjoy as we dive right in.
To talk about Commerson.
Okay,
that's it. I'm done. I will not squeal. I'm trying very hard to keep my voice in a deep register to not hurt our listeners' ears, but I love them so much.
Very happy for you and the dolphins.
Excellent. Yes, listeners, it's happening. We're talking about Commerson's dolphins. The dolphin where the one and only time that I've ever seen them in real life, and I was with my two founding Whale Tales friends here, I blew out everybody's eardrums with my scream.
It's true, yes.
True story.
So true story. The Commerson's dolphin is one of the smallest dolphin species, and it is famous for its striking and very cute black and white coloration. They are known for being energetic surfers, boat riders, acrobats extraordinaire. And they have also recently surprised researchers with a couple of cool discoveries we'll dig into, specifically about their social lives and communication abilities.
They're named after the French naturalist, I was going to say naturaliste, because his name is Philibert. Philibert Commerson, or something like that in a better French accent, who described the dolphins after observing them in the Strait of Magellan in 1767. They were also known as several other names, including the panda dolphin, and the piebald dolphin, and the skunk dolphin, and the jacobita, and the tonina overa. Tonina? Sure. Tonina. Yeah. That's fun.
Side note, I tried really hard to find out what jacobita means, and I ended up in like a Google loop of just, they were named after Philibert Commerson. He saw them in the Strait of Magellan. Jacobita has something to do with that. And then I ended up on a really wide tangent about Jacobites. And I was like, I don't think that they're named for the revolution. So that's they're just still unanswered.
Cute little, like, because the Ita at the end is like, you know, diminutive.
Yeah,
so
little,
it's like they're just cute little Jacobites?
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess so.
Sure. I doubt it. So, where do they live? There are two recognized subspecies. There's a South American subspecies that is found around Argentina, southern Chile, the Falkland Islands, the Strait of Magellan, and Tierra del Fuego, basically the southern tip of South America. In that area, they typically inhabit shallow coastal waters, bays, harbors, estuaries, and river mouths, which, you know, makes sense because there's some other small dolphins that have similar
vibes
in that, all over the world. There's also the Kerguelen subspecies that lives around the Kerguelen Islands. I'm not exactly sure that I'm pronouncing that right.
Neither, don't worry.
And these are a small group of islands in kind of the middle of the southern Indian Ocean. Like, doesn't seem like they're near anything.
No.
And remarkably, these two populations are separated by 8,500 kilometers or 5,300 miles of ocean.
So far.
And there's apparently no other Commerson's dolphins in between there.
No.
Weird.
Which is amazing and weird.
And obligatory insert, yep, they get to be subspecies.
Subspecies. Yeah.
Orcas never do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that there's no longer any crossbreeding between them.
No, they do not travel.
They don't swim them.
No, they do not switch.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of size, we've talked about the fact that they're small, but how small? The South American ones are, well, I mean, they're kind of all there, but the South American subspecies is about 1.46 meters in length. So that's like under the 5-ish feet somewhere.
I was just going to say, isn't that just like my height?
Yeah.
Almost?
Yeah.
I don't know, I could never remember how the conversion works, but something like that.
Yeah, they're little. They're so little.
They're 3 apples tall.
That's so cute. And the Kerguelen, how did you say that, Sarah?
Kerguelen?
Kerguelen. That sounds better than what I just said. So the Kerguelen individuals are itsy weensy teeny tiny bit bigger. They can be up to about 1.8 meters on average. And the weight for both is similar, around 86 kilograms or so. There was a mature female who was found who measured 1.36 meters and only 23 kilograms. And she was mature and not like malnourished mature.
Huh.
And so that may actually be one of the smallest adult cetaceans that's ever been recorded, because she otherwise seemed, I mean, I didn't go fully into the necropsy results or what was going on there, but she didn't seem to have been like emaciated or anything. Just an itty bitty, small, mature, cute little cetacean.
Wow.
Quick side note: Google vaquita weight, 140 centimeters, which is about the same.
What you doing?
Clicking to see how much vaquitas weigh.
Oh, right.
27 kilograms to 68. Okay, that makes sense. Obviously, it makes sense because she's the smallest one, but only by a bit. 4 kilograms. Commerson's back on track. Commerson dolphins, not vaquitas. Commerson's appearance is unmistakable. They have a sharp black and white pattern, a rounded head with no beak, and a large rounded dorsal fin. Calves begin life gray, brown, or blackish before developing in their adult coloration. Researchers have also noted that females can be identified by a distinctive black genital patch.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Commerson's dolphins usually live in small groups, often fewer than 10 individuals, although groups between 1 and 20 are quite common. Researchers have documented a fission-fusion structure, so that's where the group membership changes over time, rather than a fixed grouping.
That was what Jeremy was talking about with the Guyana dolphins. Yeah, similar thing.
Yeah. And then there's also seasonal gatherings of up to 100 dolphins that have been reported for feeding and breeding.
I would just die. I would just
I know you would.
So would we all
skiing.
Eardrums.
Well, we would be on a boat at that point, and then like the Coast Guard would probably show up, and it would just be really awkward. We'd be like, "We're sorry, there was 100 Commerson dolphins," and they'd be like, "We understand. Can we use Nicole for emergency situations in our
I'm so
times?"
good at alerting people to emergencies.
Emergency broadcast beacon.
It's my purpose in life. That's why I was put here.
Indeed.
Anyway.
So especially when they're in these big groups, but also more generally, they are super active, curious around boats, frequently seen to be bow riding, wave surfing, and they're big acrobatic leapers and spinners. And they're often seen with other small cetaceans, such as Peale's dolphins.
Which is also cute. Just, I have a special place in my heart for Commersons.
I know.
Their diet includes the typical fish, like hake, sardines, anchovies, and they also eat squid, crustaceans. They do get in some marine worms, just to keep it
Interesting.
spicy,
Squiggly.
Wormy.
Yeah.
and shrimp when they can get them. They do appear to be opportunistic feeders, so they pretty much take advantage of anything that's locally available or found near river mouths and estuaries or in those coastal shallow waters where the food is super abundant. And really interesting, the occasional consumption of seaweed has been noted multiple times. So they're omnivores, I guess? Can we?
Or just curious.
Yeah.
Omnivore curious, yeah.
Or maybe they like the things that were stuck on the seaweed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of when I was watching ducks eat seaweed the other day. It was like, they're probably not eating the seaweed. They're eating the stuff on the seaweed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Crazy. Yeah.
Interesting. Do other cetaceans eat? Do we know of any other ones? Not off the top of my head.
No.
Just kind of accidental, I would guess. But like,
yeah, like we've seen the orcas like bringing the bull kelp around. They don't seem
Yeah.
to eat
Yeah.
it. The bottlenose, like
No.
Trosiops have been seen moving kelp around too, and kind of like putting it on their heads and stuff. But I have never come across eating.
ingestion, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how their complex digestive bits would deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and then it raises questions like, because they are so frequently spotted with the Peale's, like, do the Peale's do it too? Is that the difference?
Yeah, but also like, is it like, what's their freshwater intake like? If they're eating squid, is it something to do with that? I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah.
So many questions.
So many questions. Let's get on a boat and go observe them
Yay.
until we
Yes.
figure it out. we'll be safe because we'll have Nicole.
Nothing will attack.
Okay. Before we continue with the rest of the episode, we want to take a moment to tell you about how you can support our podcast and everything we do at Whale Tales.
You can join us by becoming a patron at patreon.com/whaletales. For $1 a month, you can join at the porpoise level, $5 a month at the dolphin level, or $10 a month at the whale level.
And each level comes with a variety of different perks, like thank you postcards, put some in the mail yesterday, so excited for those to get out. We also have access to extended interviews and stories with guests when we have them on, and you can even produce your own Fun Flipper Fact segment like we will have a little bit later in today's episode if you join us as a whale level patron. And plus, we have 2 extra patron-only podcasts for our dolphin and whale level patrons. Every other month, we do a journal club where we read a journal article and then discuss it. And then for our whale level patrons, we do on the other months, I was going to say odd, but it doesn't always work out that way. On the months that we're not doing journal club, we do Whale Tales Watches, which is a podcast where we watch a thing and then we tear it apart on an accuracy or biological kind of pet peeve scale. And this month's Whale Tales Watches might be my favorite thing we've ever recorded. I would not have thought that before watching it. It was a movie that all 3 of us had never seen before. A movie that just came out a couple of years ago on Netflix called Under Paris, and it's about sharks. And it's fantastic. And I've told everyone I know about it. And our recording is one of my favorite things in the history of our podcast. So I highly recommend becoming a whale level patron just for this month, even just to check that out. Plus, you get access to all of the backlog of all of the Whale Tales Watches and journal clubs we've done before. And I think they're quite fun.
Thank you so much to all of our patrons. You are amazing.
You really are. Thank you so much. And if you aren't able to support us financially, don't worry. There's still so many things that you can do to help us out. First of all, you're here listening. That is incredible, and that is enough. Thank you very, very much for listening to us. You can always leave us a rating and a review on your podcast platform of choice, principally Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because that really helps people find us. But you can also tell your cetacean science podcast, just people-loving friends, all about our podcast. Tell them about the stuff that you're learning, and then they can listen to us too. And it'll be fun for us and fun for you, and you guys can listen together on like a car ride somewhere.
You can also follow us on social media. We are at whaletales_org, and you can always send us your feedback so that we can keep making the podcast even better.
Before we get back to the episode, I wanted to give a quick shout out to another podcast, Blue Collar White Coat from Amy Weldon. I met Amy a few months ago, and she is just one of us. It's kind of crazy.
Amazing.
Just like American version of us. She recently launched season 2 of her podcast like 2 days ago, and I wanted to tell you about it. She wrote a little blurb for us. In her words, if you're into stories that spotlight the everyday people behind science, check out Blue Collar White Coat. It's a podcast exploring some of the historically uncelebrated and often unglamorous jobs that power STEM. Hosted by former dolphin trainer and science communicator Amy Weldon, you'll hear from folks in skilled trades and blue-collar roles that literally keep the lights on over lab benches, machine, one-of-a-kind precision parts for R&D, or are facilitating the extreme environment testing that ensures Artemis, heard of them, Artemis astronauts make it back to Earth safely.
So cool.
Oh yeah. Season 2 was just kicked off, and we'll be diving into the world of marine science. You'll hear from commercial divers using principles of STEM in everyday marine work, a deep-sea marine researcher from Appalachia who became the first academic in his family, and the surprising way skilled trades and science work together to keep aquarium animals thriving behind the glass. Episodes of Blue Collar White Coat drop every other week, and you can find them on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And they're great. I love this podcast because it's so true that there are so many people that you don't think about when you look at the shinier side of science. Any kind of science.
The people publishing the papers, there's obviously a whole world of people behind that. Yeah.
When you're trying to do science and something goes wrong, we'll save the day every time. Then we're back to Commerson's dolphins.
Yeah.
So, researchers have made some fascinating discoveries about Commerson dolphins. A 2022 population genetics study found evidence that females tend to remain in their natal regions, while males move between areas and maintain gene flow. The finding has important implications for how scientists approach conservation and management on local populations. And we're linked to the paper, Commerson's Dolphin Population Structure, Evidence for Female Phylopatry and Male Dispersal. Ooh, science. Science words.
Love that.
Yes.
Indeed. Scientists also discovered that Commerson's dolphins produce a way wider range of sounds than they previously believed. Originally, everybody thought that they made mostly narrowband, high-frequency clicks, but recordings of wild dolphins in Argentina have also documented whistles, broadband clicks, and additional vocal signals below 100 kilohertz. Particularly intriguing was the finding that the whistles were most often recorded when mothers and calves were together, suggesting a role in mother-calf communication, which is surprisingly common around the cetacean world.
Mm-hmm.
And this paper, obviously, is also linked in the show notes. Communication sounds of Commerson's dolphins and contextual use of vocalizations.
And the last really interesting kind of recent discovery that we found when we were digging into these sweeties was that researchers have documented what they describe as the first recorded interspecific sexual interaction involving a Commerson's dolphin and a Peely's dolphin in the wild. Scandal! The observed behaviors included synchronized jumping, rubbing, chasing, touching, and vertical ventral to ventral positioning.
Good thing we're recording this at nighttime.
None of this is new in terms of, what dolphins in general do. It's all very typical kind of like dolphin pre-sexual behavior. We've seen this in a few other different species kind of mixing together. There was lots of cool stuff, but it's the first time that there's been documented sexual behavior between the Commersons and the Peelys. So that was really cool, and that article has been linked in the show notes as well. There you go. Lots of cool things going on with Commersons. They're not just cute, but they are cute. Do you know what time it is?
8:51.
I do.
That is correct. But also, do you know what time it is in our podcast?
Yes, I do. I feel like it's been
It's-
forever since you've sung.
I know.
I know. I have to kind of dust off my vocal chops here. It's time for a fun flipper fact. It's time for a fun flipper fact. We're gonna find a fun flipper fact, and it's gonna be 2 times. That was a weird song. But what I'm here to tell you is I found a fun flipper fact about Commerson's dolphins to fit the theme of the episode. But also, thank you, and deepest, sincerest apologies to our whale level patron, Kristen, who sent us a fun flipper fact, as she is wont to do for her whale level patronage. Yep, that's the word. And it got lost in my inbox. And Kristen, I am so sorry about that because I was really, really excited about your question. And then inbox overload happened and it got lost. And I was finally cleaning out inbox and found it again and realized I was woefully delayed in adding this to the episode. So I thank you for staying with us and being a wonderful patron. And I can't wait to answer your question. But first, the Commerson's fun flipper fact. This is just a fun one. No real extra to add to it. Commersons often have a tendency to swim upside down.
That's silly.
That is very
It
silly.
is silly. There has been some speculation that this helps them improve prey detection because they can maybe see slightly better underneath them and prey would want to sneak up on them and kind of, as prey is wont to do, surprise from underneath in the darker areas of the ocean, but there's absolutely no research to support that. It's just speculation. But the truth is, if you picture the way that a dolphin swims, then flip it over so its dorsal fin is pointing directly down to the bottom of the ocean instead of kind of gliding up at the surface and kind of cutting through the waves. That's often how Commersons swim, and they just look so silly and extra cute and silly. And they're awesome.
So silly.
Yeah. Very, very silly. That's the fun flipper fact about Commersons. They swim upside down and no one knows why. And it's just another awesome thing about them. Now, on to Kristen's fun flipper fact, whale level patron edition. Kristen asked, could you tell me about color vision in cetaceans? Do they see color? And how does it differ in different species? Well, buckle up, everybody, especially Kristen, because this is a long, detailed answer, and I was not trying to overcompensate even just a teeny tiny bit for the fact that I was late in adding this to the podcast. The short answer is that yes, cetaceans can detect light, but most have greatly reduced color vision compared to humans, if at all. In fact, many species are effectively colorblind, and some appear to have actually lost cone-based vision almost entirely. This conclusion is supported by lots of anatomic, genetic, and physiological studies that I will explore in the long answer to Kristen's question. But first, a quick kind of like overview of how color vision works. Humans, we are this is hard for me to say, trichromats. Trichromats, there we go. We have 3 cone types in our eyes typically, blue, green, and red sensitive cones. And due to those different cones in our eyes, we can perceive a wide range of visual spectrum light. Most cetaceans are not trichromats. During their evolution back into the ocean, so if we go all the way back in the evolutionary line where they were those weird prehistoric wolf-like things on land, and then their nose started moving to the top of their head to become a blowhole. We've all seen the quick little PBS evolution YouTube video. Somewhere in that, they lost the short wavelength sensitive, or the SWS1 cone gene, which is required to have blue-violet cone vision, so the blue cones. As a result, most living cetaceans possess, at best, only a single cone pigment plus the rods, which means that true color discrimination is either extremely limited or basically impossible. So, long answer time. Why? Why did this happen? Why did they lose whatever color vision ability they had prehistorically? Well, water rapidly absorbs long wavelengths, and it alters the spectrum of light that you can see at depth. Anybody who's done even if you go to the bottom of a swimming pool, you can kind of see this. Below relatively shallow depths, the world becomes increasingly dominated by blue-green light. So red is the first one to disappear, and then it kind of like goes down the spectrum until it's basically all just either dark, or when you shine a light in the dark, kind of bluey green. So researchers propose that because the underwater environment provides basically no use for those wavelengths of color the way they do in terrestrial habitats, maintaining those multiple cone systems became less and less advantageous. So cetaceans instead evolved the visual adaptations that improve a sensitivity to dim light, like the retinal changes and blue shifted rod pigments that they have. There are a few morphological or physiological differences between cetacean groups. So dolphins and porpoises do have rod photoreceptors for low light vision, and they have the LWS cone pigment for the long wavelength sensitive pigment, but they don't have the SWS1 cone pigment, which means they do not have the cone classes that are required for terrestrial mammalian color vision. So they have little to no ability to distinguish colors using cone signals alone. Dolphins and porpoises then likely perceive the world primarily through brightness and contrast rather than color. And this is before we even get into their echolocation, because this was specifically about eye vision. So we'll leave echolocation off the table. Now, when we talk about baleen whales, there does appear to be even further loss of this ability. Genetic evidence shows that not only do they not have the SWS1 photoreceptor, but they've also, in multiple baleen whale species, lost the LWS cone gene, so the long wavelength sensitive. So this means they are almost entirely dependent on only rods, no cones, which is called rod monochromacy. And then the deepest diving odontocetes, so the toothed whales that go deepest, like sperm whales, pygmy sperm whales, and beaked whales that have been studied in this way, have an even stronger reduction in color vision. All of this leading back to the aforementioned why. Well, the deeper you go, the less you need to see color is the theory. These species forage at significant depths where there's almost no light, and any of the ambient light that does get through in the wavelength is blue or extremely dim. And so they have rod-mediated sensitivity that is far more useful than color discrimination. If any of these species can see color at all, it would just be because of the one functioning cone type that the dolphins and porpoises at least seem to still have. So they may be able to see some kind of versions of blue and green, but probably not. And for those rod monochromatic species, it's basically just like grayscale system as best as we can guess. There are 3 sources I used to come up with all this information for you, Kristen. We will link them in the show notes. They're all very rod cone. I got a really good reminder of how vision works. But the Cole's Notes version is that the strongest consensus we have scientifically today is most cetaceans do not possess any kind of color vision that you would see in terrestrial mammals, and many whale species appear to be effectively colorblind, relying instead on high sensitivity to low light vision adapted, as you would expect, for the underwater environment. Thank you so much.
Did one of the things we watch have dolphin vision on it? Was it Sequest? Was it one of the weird dolphin movies that we watched?
Yeah,
There's
we
so many
definitely did.
of those.
What was
Right?
that?
Was Sequest or that one where the dolphins could talk to the people with the dolphin robot with
I think it was that one.
Vampire Diaries boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah.
They didn't get it right. That wasn't what dolphin
No,
vision
not at
looks
all.
No.
No,
it was
let's
just
go
blurry.
back to that Whale Tales watches and take another
Yep,
point
just
off for
re-record it.
accuracy.
Okay, we gotta go watch that Paul Wesleyan dolphin movie again, which I do not want to do. We can watch the sequel.
Oh, there we go.
Or the prequel. Okay, now it's time for Whale Tale, which just doesn't have a song. It's just the Whale Tale time.
Whale Tale, it is time for a tale of a whale. Here we go. I can't do that every episode. It's going to turn into a whole thing.
No.
No. See, at least you went that way. I was thinking about DuckTales.
Woo! I have to do it. Not today, but I have to do that. I'm writing it down. It's going to happen.
Excellent.
I'm writing it on my bank bill, just so everybody knows.
I'm sure that will completely never get lost
No.
or recycled.
Anyway, we do have one Commerson story in our library, which we will link to. It's from our good friend Emily. We should talk to her soon and see if she has other exciting things to add. However, we've actually played that for you before in an episode a few summers ago. So while researching for this ep, we did find one other interesting whale tale, but we don't know the person who saw it. It's just kind of one of those stories that's out there on the internet for people to find. So we haven't actually added it to our library, but thought it was worth including here. In 2004, alone, I should tell this like a story. Okay, because it's story time. Everybody cozy up. Once upon a time, in 2004, which was so long ago.
Oh my god, yeah.
So long ago. And we were all wearing the worst fashion imaginable. While this was happening, a lone, intrepid individual was recorded off the coast of South Africa. An individual Commerson's dolphin, I should say. I'm sure there were also individuals of other species and lots of individual humans off the coast of South Africa, but this is a story about a Commerson's dolphin. An intrepid explorer. This dolphin was thousands of kilometers from either of the species' known populations. What was it doing there? How did it get there? Why was it there? How cute was it? To this day, scientists have no idea how this dolphin managed to travel so far from its recognized range or what mysteries it was discovering. But it does make it one of the species' most intriguing long-distance travelers. The end.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
That is amazing.
Just another snap for you.
Going to like the completely opposite end of the world and types of cetaceans, we do have a new whale tale from Brittany this month. It's very exciting, where we will share her audio recording with you shortly. She has an encounter with belugas.
Yay! Hey Whale Tales! My name is Brittany, and I am the founder of Baddies and Ballenas, or affectionately, as I like to refer to it, the Chief Executive Mermaid. I am also a scuba instructor and marine life guide based in Baja California Sur, Mexico, where we get tons and tons of different species of cetacean. A third of all the whale and dolphin species of the entire planet come through that area at one point or another. So it's a really, really rich area, and I'm feeling very grateful to live there. But today I'm actually going to be talking about beluga whales. So beluga whales have been on my bucket list to see in the wild for basically my entire life. But as you know, they are located in the Arctic and subarctic regions, so they are not the easiest whale to see. They are really remote typically. So I had this dream idea of seeing them forever, and I finally made it happen in the past month. So I was able to travel up to the subarctic regions of North America and spend some time with a really incredible population of beluga whales. So this population in particular is doing really well. There's 55,000 individuals. Some other populations are dwindling due to different, typically human pressures or climate change induced effects. But this population, fortunately, is doing really well with numbers that are really stable. The other thing that's crazy and really special about this population is just how much they seem to love human attention. So I kid you not, we would go out on the boat every day. And first of all, you can see them from shore. There's just literally hundreds of them. When I saw them the first time, I actually was like, wow, it must be wavy. There's a lot of white caps. Before I corrected and was like, oh my God, no, those are just all belugas. That's all the white of the belugas. So there really is that many of them located in this river. And we would take the boat out, and literally within 10 seconds, they would beeline for the boat. They were like genuinely seem to enjoy interacting with humans, interacting with the boat itself. They are a very intelligent and curious species, as you know, but just seeing them genuinely seek out or interact, I guess, in this way was so special. So some of the days we would take out a boat, other days we would take out a paddleboard. The paddleboard was probably my favorite. We would literally paddleboard out and immediately get surrounded by dozens and dozens of belugas, and they are pretty sassy. So these belugas would literally come up behind the paddleboard, which, you know, it's already a little hard to keep your balance if you're not used to it, but they would come up behind the paddleboard and bump it, trying to knock people off. I opted to stay on my knees for most of the time because I wasn't too anxious to get in the cold water. But a lot of people in our group would get knocked off by the belugas. So I feel like that's a pretty cool thing you can say, maybe like a party fun fact that you've been knocked into the water by a beluga whale. But I stayed safe and dry. I am a warm water baby, so no cold water for me as much as possible. The other thing that was really cool about this region, so swimming with the belugas is illegal, as it is with many marine mammals around the world. But in this region in particular, there's an activity called beluga boarding. And so basically they would pull a raft behind the boat, and you would lay on it on your tummy, and then you stick just your face in the water with a mask and snorkel. And again, like I said, the belugas are crazy, interested and friendly and curious. They will come right up to your face. Like at points, I was a little nervous because I was like, they are right there, like way close. And they're just very inquisitive and very curious. We actually one day, because, you know, science, and we knew that there were studies done where belugas actually recognize themselves in a mirror. They passed the mirror test. I think the test was done for a beluga population in captivity in New York, if I'm not mistaken. So we actually brought a mirror with us one day and held it under the water while we were doing this boarding activity. So we had our face in the water, and then we had a mirror. And, you know, there's not a lot of data points that we took. We weren't there very long, but it did seem like they were genuinely curious about the mirror, and they would come right up to it, which was super incredible to see. And then just interacting with them in general, they would like show off their teeth. They would show off their babies. They do come into this area to breed. And so there were a lot of newborns that were so adorable. They still had the folds on them from being squished up in mom's womb. So they were really fresh. And you can tell they're babies as well, not just from the size, but when they're born, they're a much darker color. So they don't, according to our guide, they don't get the white color until, different for male and female, but somewhere between like 7 to 10 years in that general time frame. There were lots of babies, lots of juveniles. The juveniles in particular were incredibly playful and curious. So it was really, really quite something. Definitely a bucket list experience that I had been dying to do for much of my life. And I'm feeling incredibly grateful that I was able to make it happen. It is like, it literally got me so excited that I was like, maybe I should go back to school to study beluga whales. So that is something I have in the back of my brain right now. You know, never know. Maybe I'll get a little tired of Mexico and look for some change of scenery. But yeah, in general, I am feeling incredibly blessed for such a, honestly, life-changing experience. And I know a lot of people say that about a lot of things, but just interacting with such an intelligent creature that, you know, looks you in the eyes, and, you know, you feel there's not a connection. I think that's a very like human thing to say, but you know, there's something there that's exchanged, right? So I'm feeling incredibly grateful to have had that experience with some really playful, curious belugas. And I'm actually planning on making this an annual thing. So we're going to start running Baddies and Ballenas trips up to see this population, small, intimate trips for our community that also want to experience this. So we're going to start doing that next year. So hopefully the plan is that I will be with this population for 4 or 5 weeks next year. Honestly, I think I could be with them forever. They are so cute and entertaining, and it really is quite a magical experience. But I do think it is, if you have the opportunity to see not just beluga whales, but any whales in person and just observe them over a period of time, it's just really incredible to see their social structure, how they communicate, how they interact with humans, how they interact with the boat. All these different things is really an amazing, and I'll say it again, life-changing experience. So yeah, I think that's all I have on that. And yeah, belugas are the best.
Oh, I'm so good. I'm so jealous. Let's go right now.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Belugas and Commersons. Totally fine. That's super close together. We won't have
What
any issues.
if, remember that, actually, belugas sometimes go on really weird adventures. There was that beluga that went to Oregon that time.
France.
There was that beluga that went to France and went up the Seine River that time.
Yep.
What if they met up with that intrepid exploring Commerson
In
and
South
they just
Africa?
had a super cute explorer party? Oh, and the gray whale that goes into the
Yeah,
gray
the
whale
gray
in the
whale.
Mediterranean Sea.
Well, as we know from the East Coast people we were just talking to in the spring, there was a beluga in Massachusetts once.
Yeah.
So, you know, you never know where you can find belugas. Apparently, more places than you would think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, as you heard from Brittany say, she runs Baddies and Ballenas, which you can find on Instagram, all one word.
Great name.
We highly recommend that account. We share those posts a lot. She's very good at making us feel seen. Thank you so much, Brittany, for sharing this amazing story. She also has incredible other stories. Her photography is amazing, and she's got a lot of photos of orcas doing adorable orca things. So be sure to head to our site to see the videos that accompany these stories, just in case you thought Nicole had the monopoly over cuties this episode. She doesn't, because those belugas are super cute.
Of course. Ugh. Man.
This is saying my cetacean love is quite fickle. I am really focusing on my love of Commersons today, but put any other cetacean in front of me, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know.
oh, you're the best.
Now I send you that videos right now, and you'll just dissolve into a pile of cuteness.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping things up for the end of the episode. Despite their many remarkable traits, Commerson dolphins face several conservation challenges. They are currently listed as least concern globally by the IUCN, but the most commonly identified threat is entanglement in fishing gear, particularly gill nets and trawl fisheries.
Historically, some dolphins were killed and used as crab bait by fishermen in Argentina and Chile. Additional conservation concerns also include, across the board, but also for Commersons, climate change, habitat changes, pollution, oil exploration, and overfishing.
All the big ones.
All the big ones, yep. Building up our understanding of their social structure, population dynamics, and movement patterns is going to be increasingly important for protecting local populations effectively, so that we're actually protecting the places and the animals that, in like an effective manner rather than a like checking the box kind of way.
Yeah.
And especially in this day and age of August 2026, we just can't stress enough the importance of scientific evidence for decision making. Evidentiary decision making is becoming its own sort of what do we call it?
Yep.
Species, threatened, endangered species. And so that's really important, and we love to support researchers who are doing that. As we wrap up today's episode, and we are thinking about that and the importance of sharing our stories and sharing this information with all of you, and you sharing it with your networks, we want to leave you with a little bit of a challenge. When we were researching for this episode, we knew very little about Commerson's dolphins. We knew they were cute and that they made me squeal. They're also a species that lives thousands of kilometers away from where the three of us are up in British Columbia. But the more we learned, just like happens every time we're researching for any part of what we do at Whale Tales, the more fascinated we became. And we have the incredible opportunity, thanks to all of you listening to us, that we get to share their story with you. So we wanted to challenge you to have your own turn, sharing either their story or the story of any marine mammal species that lives near you. Learn one interesting fact about a marine mammal species of your choice, a challenge it faces, something that makes it unique, and then share it with someone, or even better, share it with us. When we talk about conservation so often on this podcast, it can be overwhelming, and the world is overwhelming these days. So something that really struck us when we were preparing for today's episode was what really has come through in so many of the interviews we've done recently with so many of our guests, which is that conservation really begins with curiosity and connection. When wildlife stops being that creature or animal somewhere else and instead becomes a part of your own community that you're connected to, everyone around you is so much more likely to care about that animal and its future. So we would love to hear what you discover, and we'd love to hear how the people that you shared it with reacted to that, because those small conversations can really create big waves for ocean conservation. And I love when we can say conversation and conservation in the same sentence.
Yep.
It's like Nicole's favorite thing.
It is. This whole
And
episode is
Commerson.
my
They're all-
favorite thing.
Oh, yeah. This is rename it. Nicole's favorite things. Like Oprah, but we're not giving away any dolphins.
No. And that brings us to the end of our episode tonight. So we would love to hear your thoughts on this or any episodes. Please visit our website, whale-tales.org, to find links to all of the different ways that you can drop us a line.
You can head to our website to subscribe to the podcast, learn about supporting us and becoming a patron, and check out over 1,600 whale, dolphin, and porpoise stories, including our Commerson ones.
Yeah. That's whale-tales.org. Tales like the stories, not tales like the animal.
And if you've seen a cetacean, Commerson or beluga or otherwise, we would love to add your story to our library. Click the share link on our site, connect with us on social media, or email us a voice memo like Brittany did, and tell us all about your incredible encounter.
And if you haven't already heard, our next episode in September is a mailbag episode, aka my favorite. And if you have a cetacean question, or maybe you do some research about a cool cetacean and you share it and they have a question, you can email or DM us by the 8th of September to get your question possibly included into our mailbag episode. Yay!
I've done one in a really long time.
I know. I'm excited.
Exciting. Yeah. Finally, we want to acknowledge that we recorded today's episode on unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Sianu, and Sauk nations.
Thank you all so much for listening. We hope you have a whaley great day.